I'm going to show you how to set up different sprites so they interact with each other. To begin with, I have already made a whole bunch of different items. I have nicely, oops, let me get rid of the hop. I have nicely separated out my code into some sort of top level functions here. So there's the game object. And then I have a make directions function that displays the directions. If I turn that on, I'll see my directions. I have a make stars, which makes little stars that show up. Here they come. I've got a make dude that makes my little blue guy. There he is. And then I made a spawn death balls, which will spawn little red balls that fall down. There they go. All right, cool. So let's imagine that I want to make this slightly fancier. Let's assume you're trying to avoid the death balls. Maybe the little dude has to go somewhere to trigger the death balls, and then maybe the stars represent the guy's life. And each time a death ball hits him, a star disappears until all the stars are gone, and then the game is over. All right. So to think that through, I'm going to comment out all these things. I'm going to have to think about how this code's going to interact. Now, right now, I've done a pretty good job doing what we call encapsulating my code. So every element happens in its own function. And as we remember, functions are like a little box for variables. So without reading any of the code, it's all hidden right now. So this is about 100 lines of code if I expand it. But it's all hidden, right? So inside of these functions. Before I look at anything, I already know that right now, there is no way my different parts of the code can interact because functions are like little walls for variables. So the only variable that's made that's at the global level that everything has access to is this game, right? The stars function is whatever contains the stars is contained inside of make stars. Whatever contains my little guy is contained inside of make dude. And the directions can be contained. They're inside of make directions, so nobody cares about that. And then death balls are contained in death balls. So if I want my code to be able to interact, I'm going to need to have some way for these elements to communicate. And that's what we mean when we describe, programmers will call that an interface. Basically, two parts of the code need to talk to each other. The easy way to do this, all of your variables would be kind of at the top level in global variables. But it's much better to have all of your elements contained. Notice we could test them out individually. So if I wanted to see like, oh yeah, do the death balls work? I can just uncomment that. And here come little red balls falling, right? So I can test each element out independently. This is nice. And then if I look at spawn death balls, all the complexity is contained. So here is this death ball function, which creates a ball with x, y, velocity and radius. There's like a whole little funky rotating thing that's not working, but that's too bad. That's supposed to be kind of neat. Oh well. I see. So anyway, that complexity is all contained, which is nice. But I need to create an interface, which is to say I need some way for the different elements to talk to each other. So I decided that, I was saying earlier, the stars would be indicator of the lives that we had. So right now there's a list of stars, and that's the indicator of the lives. If I want to have as many stars as there are lives available, and then the stars disappear, I'm going to need to put some kind of global variable here. So why don't I call it lives? So we'll call that lives. Now in my game, I could say something like lives always go down or go down from 10. So I'm going to assume in my game that you can have 10 lives. That's my little variable there. Now, in make stars, right? I'm going to make, instead of it making 20 stars, it's going to make lives number of stars. So now we should get 10 stars to begin. All right, and they appear slowly so that they're out of phase is the idea. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Oh, I see already I made an error because we started with a first star. So here, I'll make it actually make 10 stars. All right. Now I've decided, okay, how are these stars going to be related to the number of lives? So let me go into my drawing here. Here's the new sprite. It can have an update function. Well, this is kind of annoying, isn't it? All right, we'll make the update function remove it when the lives is smaller. So let's see. My position is going to be equal to stars index of the sprite, because our stars is a list of it. If position is less than or equal to lives, I mean greater than or equal to lives, remove self. So we will then remove console log remove star, and we'll call remove. I'm not sure if this is going to work. Notice, by the way, what I decided was I'd have a global variable called lives, and that's going to drive the star disappearing. Now I'm writing the logic that says, okay, if my star is number 8, 9, or 10, let's say, and lives is 7, I'm going to make it go away. So make stars, it looks like I managed to break already. So that's pretty classic. Stars.index. Oh, I forgot the name of the function. It's called index of, not index. So there we go. We'll fix stars. Notice also all I have working right now is the stars. I can, in fact, I'm going to get rid of the spawn death balls just to reduce complexity while I'm troubleshooting. Okay, so here's just the stars. Here they appear. And I'm going to add a new debug handler. So I'm going to say, okay, game, add click handler. And this is going to just log remove life. And it's going to say lives minus equals 1 console log lives. All right, so hopefully, oops. If I do this right, I should see my 10 lives appear. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Good. When I click, it should go to 9. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's 9. That should go to 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And now there are no stars left. And it goes negative, but we don't care. All right, beautiful. So that worked the first time. Don't expect that to happen with your own code. That is very rare. But let's think through the interface. So what I did is I said, all I'm going to have is the stars drive the dude disappearing, right? So I'm going to make a global variable called lives. And then I'm going to make the stars function depend on that lives variable. It's going to check. I already had a list of all the stars. So I checked, okay, what position am I in the list? And if I'm greater than or equal to the length of lives, then remove myself. So that works. The complexity is still contained in make stars. I made a minimal change to the top level of the game. So whenever you introduce interaction into your game, you want to be thoughtful about it. Here, what I decided was that all that the stars were going to do is represent the number of lives. So it would be very simple. And then this is just a debug. This is like a test. So I could make test thing. I can contain this if I want because I don't want that in my actual game. So now that won't actually work. Now I have stars working, right? I could also game add drawing. CTX, fill text. I can add the actual number of lives up there. And of course, I already managed to make an error, so get used to that. That's kind of how life goes. Console, oops. I always forget how to do these arrow functions with the destructured doodads inside. All right, so there, now we see the 10 lives. And now I can see 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 0. All right, that works beautifully. All right, so the next step, I said that I wanted the death balls to hit the dude and to cause a death, right? So now I have to think about, oh boy, how is that going to happen, right? So I could just make another global variable. I could also, right now my make dude function makes this dude, then adds the drawing and then sets up the keyboard handler. I'm going to actually use a return value. I'm going to return the dude. So now I can say const dude equals make dude. Now I have a reference to that little guy at the global level of my game. So I have access to him from elsewhere. And then death balls, maybe I could have a target parameter that says, who am I attacking? So now, oh boy, I could have a target equals, or a target and then a spawn rate. All right. So let me just talk through what I just did there. I said, you know what? The blue sprite itself, which has like a position and a direction, is going to be the relevant thing that the death balls need to know about. And rather than just relying on it being a global variable, I'm going to hand it in as a parameter. Why did I do that? I did it partly just to show you another way of building an interface. This would enable me to use some of this same code to do something fancier, like maybe I would want to make it so that there were different items that came after different things. So like maybe, you know, whatever, there'd be a different kind of death ball or something like that. So that's kind of the goal. Unfortunately, it looks like I just broke. Oh no, I broke everything. Let's see. I thought it just broke the one view. And it's not showing me an error very helpfully. I'll have to see what I just broke. You probably saw it over my shoulder, but I didn't see it. Oh, wait, is it right there? Cannot destructure project. Oh, I see. Make death balls needed an argument. I got it. Okay, spawn death balls needs to know the target. There we go. All right, so now I have a reference to the dude, which I'm calling target because I want to think about the death balls are, they have a target and do they hit the target? That's kind of the goal. All right, so now let's think through, okay, here's the death ball falling. I already made the death balls disappear when they get to the bottom, which was nice of me. Every time I click, the lives go away. I'll have to change that in a second. All right, so now I'm going to have to write a new if statement inside of this draw function that is going to check for a hit. If this hit target lives minus equal 1. Now that's also a little bit lame because well, that's okay. Later on in my game, I might not always want the lives to go down if I had different kinds of death things, but let's just do this for now. So hit target is not a function I've written. Hit target. Okay, we're going to assume that my target is an object with an x and a y, which luckily all sprites are. We already know our own x and y, right? And we know our radius. So now I have to use the distance formula. Pythagorean theorem. Isn't it fun? So const distance equals, so I have to square, well, it's going to be the square root of a squared plus b squared, right? So we'll take the x difference, so target x minus this x plus, that's squared, target y minus this y squared. That's the square root. If the distance is less than the radius, then return true. All right, so that should successfully return true anytime we have a hit. I'm going to make it log it for now just so we see it. A hit. Oh, and we probably want to also remove the death ball when it hits, so we'll call remove there too. Oh wait, we're going to call remove down here when we get the hit. All right, so let's get myself hit now. Here comes the death ball. Oh, missed it. Okay. And I seem to be not so good at this, huh? Oh, wait, I managed to hit one. Aha, okay. And I've just discovered the error in my logic. You might have spotted it looking over my shoulder here. The error in my logic is I checked if the death ball hit the XY. Well, the XY of the image is the top left corner. So really, it's not as simple as did it hit the XY. I have to take into account that the target itself has a width and a height, right? So that gets a little bit more complicated. One way I could think about this, which would be, well, various ways I could think about it. But right now it's only hitting the top left of the target. So let's, now this hit target function has to get a little bit fancier, right? So this is the distance to the XY, right? So now we got to figure out the distance between the centers. So target X plus target width over 2 . So that should be the distance between the centers. Let's see if I got that right. Now it should hit the center of the, yeah. It's hitting too soon though, isn't it? No, and it's hitting above it. So I think with the Y, I wanted a plus, not a minus there. All right. Better. Now it's hitting the center, which is what I want. And then the last thing I have to do is figure out how to make it hit not the center, but anywhere. All right, and I could decide I'm happy with it, or I could fiddle with this more. Distance is less than r plus target height over 2, let's say. I'd probably have to do some more fancy logic to get a perfect box, but I'm just going to... oops, target height is not a thing. That's target height is what's on the sprites. I forgot this is a sprite. So sprites have height, target height, and target width is this width of the actual sprite. All right, let's save my code. I'm not sure if I actually broke it or if there's just a problem with CodePen. Nope, I left a squiggle off somewhere. Oh, I see. I just left a parenthesis off. There it is. All right, let's see how that does. Should be pretty good. Yeah, that looks better now. Now it kind of hits there where you expect. All right, very nice. So now we have some level of interaction. The death balls get a reference to the dude, so they can check the dude and see if they hit him. And then the stars are themselves generated via the lives. So that's pretty good. I guess the last thing I might do is I might say, what if there was, instead of the death balls just starting right away, what if I wanted the death balls to show up at some particular moment? Like maybe when we hit the green box. So I'll make a new element. Function make start box. All right. So the start box is going to be really simple. It's just going to be a big green box, and if the guy hits it, then we have to then we start the death balls falling. So we'll fill a rectangle. for now, I'll just, well, let's make it better here. Do this the object-oriented way, so we'll say width. All right. These all have to get thises now. Alrighty, so now we have a fill rect. Oh, let's set the style. Green. All right, so make start box. Open, this has to be draw. All right, so there's my green box. I could make it have a velocity if I wanted to. All right. Now I have a floating green box. Lovely. And we'll make it bounce just for good measure. Or we'll make it go to a new random place. That'll be exciting. Uh-oh. That's supposed to be less than 0. That was very exciting for a moment there. All right, this should. Huh. Well, you never know. What did I do? So that works. I guess this logic I messed up in some way that I'm not seeing yet. Oh, I see what I did. I just had a typo down there. There we go. I'll send it flying off the edge. So now it should spawn in a new random spot. Ooh, that's exciting. All right, perfect. So, all right, we now have a floating box. There's our kind of drawing. And then we could build a check for hit function. Much like the last one, this would have maybe a dude it looked at, right? So I could have a target. You're noticing some repeated code here. We could definitely reorganize our code to get rid of this repetition if we felt like it, but I'm not going to do that in this tutorial. All right, so now, very similar to the death balls, we're going to have, if we hit this target, we're going to create a bunch of stuff. So, all right, I'm going to add up here, if check for hit, and we will then remove the green box, and we'll just run spawn death balls. target dude. So now when we hit the green box goes away and the red things start falling. So instead of it being down here, it's going to come up there. Apparently, oh, check for hit was not defined. Got it. It has to be this dot check for hit because it's attached to the object. All right, so this dot check for hit. Now I have to write the logic and compare the x, y, and width and height of this object with the little sprite. This gets kind of hard. That's why I put it out here. So sprite left, or we'll say target left equals target.x. Target top is the target y. Target right is going to be target x plus target.target width. Target bottom is going to be target.y plus target.target height. And now I just want to check if these x, y's are intersecting. So I can check these one at a time and I'll just return true if it's true. So for example, if x, well, let's see. If this dot x, that's the box, right, is greater than target left, and this dot x is less than target right, so that means the x of the box is somewhere in there. Well, this gets more complicated, doesn't it? We have to actually check for intersections. So I may not want to talk through all this here because it's already been a half hour. I would actually probably write this out on paper to think through the way that we handle the collision boxes, but well, let's just start with that. All right, so if my own x thing is inside the target thing, I'd better pause this here. Okay, that took me a surprisingly long time to think through, but actually, here's what I want to do. There's going to be 4 corners of the target. I want to check if any of those 4 corners is inside of the box, then it's a hit. So that's a simple way to think about it. So now I can just say for let xy of, and here are my 4 corners. I'm going to have target left, target top, target left, target bottom, target right, target top, target right, target bottom. Whew, this is surprisingly hard to think through. There we go. So I'm going to look at the x, y values of each of the 4 corners. And I'm going to check if those things are inside the box. So if x is greater than this dot x, and x is less than this dot x plus this dot width. If y is greater than this dot y, and y is less than this dot y plus this dot height, return true. And we'll log it. Hit. All right, and I've got some kind of target. I failed to define the target somewhere. Let's go ahead and look back at the debug view. Did I save it, hopefully? Well, this is puzzling. Huh, well, that's a really weird bug. I think this is not being executed in the scope I thought it was. That's a little beyond the scope of this class. But let me go and fix that. So let's see here. I think I needed to save the target here. Let's see if that gets me my target. Save. Fresh. Oh, man, never mind. I just forgot how defaults are defined. So that should not say target equals dude. That should say target. My mistake. There we go. Okay, I can get rid of that extra business I did. Man, I really did not think that through. Oh well. All right, let's get rid of that. Okay, it looks like it all worked while I wasn't working. That's kind of funny. I wasn't looking and it worked. But let's just logic through it all and show how it works now. So I can get rid of this junk I didn't need. And I can get rid of that because the target is now coming from there. All right, so there it is. Let's see what happens when I hit the death box. Oh, now the thing starts spawning. Here they come, and each time I hit one, a life goes away, which makes the stars go away. Very exciting. All right, I could also make more interaction happen if I wanted. I could make the dude move, let's say. And that's kind of up to me how I do that. So, for example, let's just give an example of that. Let's go to the death balls. And when we hit the target, we will also take the target Vy and add to it our Vy, so accelerate it down. so let's see. That should now work. All right, so I'm going to go get hit. That failed. And it may be that the dude doesn't have a VY. Let's see. Oh yeah, dude doesn't work in terms of a VY. Dude has a direction, so I'd have to take his direction and make it equal to down instead. So we could do that instead. So let's find that. All right, so now again, it's kind of up to me to define this. It depends on my sprite, right? But there, now when he gets hit, he goes down every time he gets hit. Boom, there he's falling. And of course, I could have some other states that happened. And there's my lives, 5 lives. 4, 2, 1. Now, of course, there's 0 lives, and I would have to build some way for the game to end. So the question that spawned this video was, how do I make sprites interact with other objects? I guess the answer is multifold. Hopefully this gave you some idea. But the key thing to understand, first of all, to make good, clean code, you should begin with things as separate as possible. That's why I have all of these things sort of separated out in different functions. If you were working in a more professional setup and not just in a code pen, those might actually all be in separate files even. But those are separated out, and then you think through, how am I going to make things interact? So in this case, there are 2 ways I made them interact. One was I made a global variable that everybody looks at. That was the lives. The other way is you could use the return value of a function to get something that you can store, and then you could hand that thing off. So I handed dude to make start box, and then make start box handed dude to spawn death balls. And now, of course, the death balls don't begin until you hit the start box. So you could imagine all kinds of other games, but there we hit it. And then now the death balls come, and every time we hit a death ball, we lose a life. So there you go. I hope that was helpful.